Hi guys, welcome to the Sean Files. This is lesson 3 on Unreal Engine for beginners, and I'm just going to go over a tutorial with you guys on how to do animation in Unreal Engine. So, just to give you a brief of what I'm planning on doing with these lessons. So I'm basically just going to give you everything that I've learned over the past 4 years in college learning game design and 3D animation. I'm still learning. There's a lot of things I still don't know that I still want to learn, and I'm going to continue to learn. And as I learn it, I'll give it to you once I feel like I have a good grasp on it. As you can see in these tutorials, I'm still trying to figure things out. Things don't just come out perfect the first time. You have to continue to kind of test and try to problem solve. That's what a lot of game design is about, is problem solving and logic. And a lot of your things aren't going to work right away. Not all the time. Sometimes they will, but not all the time. Most of the time they won't. And you just have to keep tinkering with it until it does work, because eventually it will if you don't give up. Whatever you don't know, you can always look it up online. Everything's online. Unreal Engine is not really that great with their documentation, and there's not really a lot of courses or tutorials out there for Unreal Engine. A lot of it is just figuring it out on your own and going into the community and asking questions from other people that have had more experience. But that's why I'm putting this out there, to help people out, just like other people helped me when I needed it. When in my program, we had to make projects, not knowing anything and having to figure it out along the way. And I feel like is the best way to do it, because if you're actually trying to figure out how to make a game, you're going to run into all of those roadblocks and learn the hard way, and eventually you figure it out. Okay, let's go ahead and launch our project. Open up our scene. So, I believe there was something I forgot to tell you last time. So just to recap on last lesson, I was teaching you guys how to make things invisible, visible, how to destroy objects, spawn objects. And I wanted to say that when we were destroying the objects, we were first finding the location of where the object is before we destroy it. Then we destroy these components, and we put a delay on it for 1 second, and then for one time, it will spawn an actor in the spot that it was originally. And when I told you guys to destroy these individual components, I'm leaving this actor still in the scene, and I don't want to do that. So after I spawn the actor, then I want to destroy the whole actor. So that way we're getting rid of the trash, what we don't want in the game. And we're just leaving it to self because we want it to destroy the whole thing. So now I run into it, it's destroying the whole thing, so that I'm not having like a bunch of like empty actors in the scene to slow down my game. So I just want to show you that because I remembered it after the fact. I'm sure that's going to happen a lot. So bear with me on that. Okay, so today I wanted to talk to you guys about animation. So I usually bring animations from Maya into Unreal and with a rig already in place, and then I hook up that rig in Unreal, and then I manipulate that rig in Unreal, or I just animate it in Maya and then bring it into Unreal. The animation's already made, but you can also just bring the rig into Unreal and then do the animations in Unreal. So I'm going to go ahead and create a blueprint class actor, and we'll name it animation actor 1 BP. Open that up. Alright, I have to think of how we want to go about doing this. Okay, so I opened Maya, go to General, go ahead and save your scene. I know, so disorganized. Animation tutorial lesson 1 or 3. Alright, so in Maya, click on the cube. It will spawn a cube, and click on this outliner window and do Control G. That's going to create a group. Go ahead and rename the group by clicking on it, double clicking, and let's rename it. Let's name it animation object lesson 3. And put your cube under it. And we're also going to name the cube. You can copy this and name the cube the same thing, but then do like mesh at the end. And at the end of this one, you could do group. Okay. Alright, now copy. Not that. Okay. Go ahead and do Control C on the object mesh, and then paste it. I actually don't do that. Sorry. We're not going to paste it in the outliner. Paste it in this. What the hell? Alright, let's go ahead and freeze transformation should be all 0. Yep, we're good. So 0, yeah. So you always want to freeze transformations. Probably not necessarily right now, but just to show you how to do that. What it does is it zeroes it out. So whatever position it is in, that will be its default position. So if you end up moving it, you can always bring it back to where it was by zeroing it out over here if you freeze the transformation. And that's freezing transformation right there. So I want to duplicate this guy, so I'm going to do Control D. You don't copy and paste. I don't know why I was doing that. But you just do Control D, and it will duplicate your object. So remember, Control D, and it duplicates your object when you're selected on it. Control D. Okay. So we're doing 2 of them. Alright, go ahead and save that. Okay. If you want to go ahead and UV map these guys so that looks like they're already UV mapped. I mean, you can see that squares are perfect. But if you want to know how to UV map, I'll show you real quick. I went over here to UV editing. This is just a really quick way to do it. It's not the best practice way, but it's a way to get it done fast. I do automatic. I copy it, unfold, orient shells, that makes them straight, and then layouts. And that will lay them out perfectly on the square that it needs to be. It only can be on one square. You don't want to have it all over the place, just here. Okay, then that's done. This is a very, 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 very fast way to doing it. It's very lazy. It's not the correct way of doing it. I will show you another video of how to UV map correctly. But for now, this is just a fast way to get it done. So we can get on to what I'm trying to teach you, which is animation. So this basically allows the textures to lay out on it where it's not, the image is not stretched. And you can control like how that texture is placed on the object with the UV map by the way you like cut it and sew it. But we'll go over all that in another video. Let's go to rigging. It's for some reason it put me into 2D perspective. Let's go to panel perspective and then go to perspective to get to be able to do this basically. Okay, so we're gonna add in a couple joints. And you do that by clicking on this guy right here. This joint guy. You could also find it make sure I'm recording. Yep. You can also find it right here under skeleton, create joint. So I click on, or I don't click on it, it's already clicked, but I click on the scene where I want my joint. Well, yeah, it should place the joint. Not sure why it wasn't working, but place the joint into the scene by clicking on the scene, and then you're going to move the joint. We want this joint to be exactly where this guy is, so what we're going to do is we're going to click on the joint and the object that you want the joint to be at, and you want it to be in the center of this guy. So we're going to go to modify, go to match transformations, and then match all transformations. For some reason it didn't work because I didn't have object mode on. How you do object mode is you right click and then you drag over to object mode, or you can find object mode up here. This is object mode. This is component mode basically, where you can like deform faces and stuff like this. but object mode selects the whole object. So you got to be in object mode to do this. So I click on the joint, then I click on the object, then I go to modify and then match all transformations. Now, if you go over here to this wireframe, you could see right through it, and now you see that the joint is right in the middle of this model. Now I want to duplicate the joint, so Control D duplicates, and then we want to do it again. We have this joint 2 selected. We're going to select the square as well. I do that by clicking Shift and then clicking the other object so that both objects are selected. And then I'm going to go to Modify and I'm going to go to Match Transformation. Alright, so now these joints are perfectly centered with the square. You're normally going to want to add in a control. Controls are good for putting your model back into the default pose, because joints, you don't want to zero out joints, but you can zero them out by putting a control on them. But you're wanting to animate the joints itself. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and name these guys. This joint's going to go with let's go ahead and this guy actually is the second one. This one is the first one. So I'm going to name that. And I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add it in here to name it, to have the same name. I add joint 2 to the second object. This is parenting it. So now this joint's parented under this mesh. It actually should be the other way around, where the mesh is parented under the joint. But right now, let's just do this because we're naming it. Alright, let's go ahead and drag the joint over to the scene. And let's parent these meshes under the joint. You can also parent by going to Constraint, clicking on the thing you want to parent, and then the thing that you wanted to parent. For instance, if this was not, so if I want to unparent this, I'd do Shift P. And then if I want this to parent this without this actually being under this in the hierarchy physically, I would, I believe I click on the parent first and then the object, and then I go to parent. And then now this has a constraint on it. So now when I move the joint, it moves the model. But if I want to just parent it this way, I can do that as well, where I have the model under the joint, and when I move the joint, it moves the model. So you could do it either or. The other way is a little bit more advanced and more professional, best practice. This way is a little bit faster, and we don't really need to do advanced stuff right now. I'm just showing you the basics. So now we have our rig. We want to actually connect these joints. So I'm actually going to put joint 2 under joint 1. So now when I move joint 1, it moves the whole thing. And when I move joint 2, it only moves joint 2. Save that. You want to constantly save, and you're going to save it by doing Control S. You're going to constantly save because Maya does tend to crash and you might lose your work. You could also set it up in your preferences to have incremental saves, which is always a good idea. That way it automatically saves for you in case you forget. You don't want to lose your work because you could lose a lot of time that way. Let's go ahead and export our rig. If you want to animate it within here, the way you do it, go to animation, click on the joint you want to animate, and then you're going to go into this little guy, and you're going to press S to add a key. So if I wanted to start in this position as a key, and then maybe at the 13-second mark, I want the key to be over here. And then, so play it, and that's what it looks like. Maybe I want the key to be, like, at this point, I want it to be, like, right here. And then right here, this, at the 32-second. So actually, I don't think these are seconds, but it's, if you have it 30 frames per second, then this is a second right here. Technically, this is a second. Okay, so then over here, so basically that's like the animation that you created. There's more technical things that you could do to make things smoother or choppy or whatever. We'll get into the animation stuff later. Right now, I want to show you how to animate your animation directly in Unreal and not bring in animations from Maya, but we can go over this as well. And I'll probably do that at the end. For now, I want to just export this. So make sure it's always like your model's in the middle, right where this panel is. The panel's right here. Click on that, make sure it's in the 0 location. So that's easier in Unreal when you bring it in. And go ahead and select your whole model that you want to export and go to File and then go to Export Selection. And then we're going to go to the folder that you want to export into. And then go over to this section and you're going to click on Animation, Constraints, and Skeleton Definition. You're going to go over here. You might not have FBX or object files in here. And if that is the case, alright, I believe it's go to Windows, I believe it's Plugin Manager, and then you're gonna go scroll down in this, you're gonna look for FBX, and you're gonna click it, you're gonna check these off, and then you're gonna go to FBJ, and you're gonna check these off. And you might refresh and close. I'm not sure quite if you do that or not, but anyway, that's gonna add that in. Now go over to export selection, and now it should be in here if it wasn't already. So we're not baking an animation because we do not have an animation that we made, but if we did, we would bake it. And then we would put in the time that we made it. And then if you were doing skinning, you would check on this. And we'll go over all that in the future when we do more advanced animations. So go to your projects file where you're saving everything, and go ahead and save your animation rig for lesson 3. Alright, so now we're just real quick, we're going to make a quick little animation so that I can show you how to do that later. So click on your second joint, press S, then go to 30 and move it up, and then press S. And then I want you to copy this by holding down Shift and highlighting it. Right click, go to copy, come over here to 60 and paste it. Now I want you to select everything. Actually, go to joint 1, go to 1, and then press S as well. Okay, now I want you to, well, I'll show you what that looks like playing. Okay, now I want you to highlight everything, export selection. This time we're going to make sure you've got animation clicked, bake animation. We're going to end on 60 because that's where we animated it. And go ahead and call that. I went ahead and clicked on that so it copies the name. And then I'm going to do animation. Actually, I'll do baked, just so it knows it has a baked animation on it. And then I'll do 1 after that. Alright, so export that. Now let's go back to our Unreal Engine. And we're going to create a folder called rig 1 lesson 3. Whatever. Alright, so we're gonna create 2 folders. One is the rig, and then one is gonna be the animations, or the baked animations. You don't want to make your folder titles too big because I don't know why, but they run out of room if they're too long. They like them short. If you're gonna do too many folders within folders. So import your rig that you just made. I'm always forgetting what I'm doing. It's right here actually. Alright, so Yeah, click on the rig that you made and you're going to click on skeleton mesh. Don't put anything in here. Don't do that. Just leave it like all that. Leave it like it is. Import all. Okay. Now in the baked animation, we're going to import the baked animation we made. And yeah, we're importing the mesh. We're importing the animations as well. And import all. Alright, so in the rig, we're gonna right click on the skeleton mesh and you're gonna go to create a control rig. You're also gonna create an animation blueprint. It's automatically gonna name it whatever your rig is. Click on the control rig. So basically what I'm making right here is I'm making a rig within Unreal that we can actually animate in Unreal Engine using the rig that we made in Maya. So how we do that is I'm going to let me try to remember. Okay. For each one of these, do Control N. So for this, Control N. Here, Control N. Click on here, Control N. Control N, Control N. Okay. Now I want you to, we need to hook these up. And how we're going to do that is I'm going to, we gotta hook up the right ones with the corresponding gotta hook up the bones with the corresponding control. And how we're gonna do that is go ahead and unparent them by Shift P. So click all the controls at Shift P to unparent them. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna bring over the control and you're gonna hit Set, and then you're going to take the same bone of the same name and you're going to go to Get. Let me just test this. Actually, before we do that, I want to make all these controls different, smaller, so you can see it better. Click on all the controls, go to Shape Properties, and change it to a thin circle, like that. Now, we can make it smaller. So on the Shape Transform, let's make it 0.2. Yeah, that works. Okay. So now, let's hook this up and just test it to see if it works. I'm going to drag value over to transform. That would be this controller. When I move it, it doesn't do anything, and it wouldn't because, yeah. Just give me a moment. Let's do this one. This would be set, and then get, hook that up. Okay. I think this joint I could test. Yeah, okay, so it works. So keep doing that for each of the bones. For objects, or for mesh 1. get. Okay, now for mesh 2, set bone, and then get. Oops. Get. And then for mesh 2, set bone, get mesh. Now compile, save. Now we're gonna put these in a hierarchy. So drag, you gotta match, this guy. So we have the joint under the control, we have joint 2 under joint 1, we have mesh 1 under joint 1, and we have mesh 2 under joint 2, like that. Okay, so now when we move the rig, you gotta give it a second, sometimes it freezes, especially when it's saving. Come on, stop freezing on me. There we go. Okay, sometimes it freezes for a while. Alright, so now you can see that it works. If I'm moving joint 1, now only joint 1 works. So save that. Come over here into your scene and drag over your control rig into the scene. Let's go back to our, see what we actually baked. Yeah, none of that saved. Great. Alright, well, let's do it again. So annoying. Alright, so bring in your rig. Small, so let's make it bigger. So I made it bigger and over here in the scale over here. So I added in 10, 10, 10. So we have our control rig that we brought into the scene. I want you to click on this ring and press S. I want you to click on this ring and press S. Then I want you to click on the top right here, right click and go to Bake Animation Sequence, go to Bake Animation Folder, and then go to type in bottom idle sequence. So this is when it's still and it's at the bottom. Did I spell that? Yeah, I did. Okay, and then export that. Go ahead and save your game. So now okay, where did my rings go? There they are. Okay, so now I want you to move over to, let's see, 60. And I want you to grab the first ring and I want you to pull it up and press, actually, yeah, okay. I want you to pull it up and press S. And then I want you to copy these by highlighting it and then click Control C, and then come over here to 120, and I want you to do Control V to paste. So it's doing this. And I want you to go over to Animation Rig, and then I want you to right click and go to Bake Animation Sequence. Go to your Bake Animation folder. Go ahead and name it Going Up. Or actually moving. You know what? Cancel that. I have it going back down, but let's not do that. Let's drag this key all the way to 120. That way it's just going up. And that's all we're going to bake. So go to Bake Animation Sequence, Bake Animation, and then name it Going Up. Export it. Now I want you to delete this and drag this guy all the way to the beginning, and then go to Animation Bake Sequence. Sure. Go to Bake Animation, and then go to Up Idle. Type in Up Idle, and then hit OK. Export that. Save your game in case we crash. And then we need a Going Down. So now we need to undo some of the things we did by clicking on here and then doing Control Z to bring everything back. So now I need to make this over here and this one over here. So I'm going to copy this by highlighting it, Control C, come over here, Control V, delete this, move this guy over here, and then move this guy over to the 60 mark where we originally were. So now it's going down. So now I'm going to export this. Go to Bake Animation, type in Going Down. And then hit OK, export, save. Okay, so now when we go to our folder, Bake Animations, they should all be there. Okay, so now we're going to go to our animation blueprint that we made. So how you do that is you go to your skeleton mesh, and you're going to right click. You're going to go to Create Animation Blueprint. We've already done this, but if you didn't, this is how you do it. And then click on it. So right here, you're going to drag, and you're going to write in state machine. We're going to make a state machine, and we're going to name it well, it's going to let us name it. Sorry. Cube state machine. Click on it. Okay, now we're going to go to the entry, and you're going to drag it out, and you're going to add a state. So the state that we're going to start at is idle, down idle. So down idle state. Then you're going to drag this down and we're at another state. And the next state is going up. Going up state. Then drag it down again. Next state we're going to add is up idle state. And then again, we're going to do a going down state. And this is the direction that it has to go in, because this is how it's going to execute those animations. So and we hook that up to the first one. So we need to actually have two of these. So what you're going to do is you're going to drag this down again to each one so that you have two. If you were going to have the ability to be at down idle, and then you would never be going down after being down idle. So you would never have it like this, but you have like that ability if you were doing animations that you could transfer over to different states like that. So you do have that ability to do that. But okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to click on each one of these states and add in the animations. So this is the down idle state. So we're going to find our down idle. It's actually, I named it different. I named it bottom idle, but it's the same thing. And then connect that. Compile, save. Now we're going to go back with this arrow, click on the going up state, and we're going to hook that up. Compile, save. Why is it giving me a warning? That's weird. Okay, idle, going up doesn't look right. Not sure what happened there, but let's do this again so we have it going up. So I'm gonna switch these again. So move that to 60, move this to the beginning so that we're going up, and then I'm gonna export that. Not export it, sorry. I'm going to bake animation sequence, go to bake animation, going up, and I already have one that's going up, so I'm gonna add a 1 in there just so it's differentiated. And then I'm going to hit OK, export it, save it. Let's come back over here to our bake animations. Let's go back to our rig, go to our animation blueprint, and let's see. It should be right here. Let's drag that over, connect it, and it's still giving me an error. Oh, let's check it and see if it works. It works. So it might be giving me an error because I haven't yet hooked it up. We need to continue the process. So let's just keep going and we'll figure it out. So go back over here, go to the up idle state, and we're going to add in up idle sequence. Save. Then go to going down state, add that in. Okay, now we're going to go back here and we're going to add in some variables. So go to your variable and we're going to do booleans. So for this we're going to say down idle down idle we'll just do that for state. Alright, so duplicate that, but now we're gonna do going down state. Now duplicate that and we're gonna do going up state, and then duplicate that and do excuse me, up idle state. Okay, then we're going to make all these public. I'm pretty sure we're going to need to make those public because we'll probably call it from another script. I mean, you can do it within this script, but we'll probably call it from another script. So I want to have that capability, so make it public. And then we're going to click on each of these guys. So click on the first one. And now we're going to say down idle, get, drag it over, and then type in not bool, and then connect those and save it. And then come to this one, and then we're going to go to the one that it's going into. Okay, so it's not the down idle because this is down idle, so it's like it's not, so it's now it's moving this way because it's no longer going to be down idle. So now it's on this one. This one is going up. So we got to put the going up in here and get connected, but we're not doing not because we are saying yes, it's going up. So now on here we're going to say no, it's not going up anymore. So we get it, and then we drag it, go to the not bool, and connect that and save it. And then on this one, it is going, it is no longer going up. So we're going to get it, and we're going to go not going up, connect that. I think I forgot one. Yeah, I did. So this one says yes, it's going up, so we drag this one over, get, connect that. Sorry for skipping it. So this one is the going down, so we're going down now, so get it, connect that. And then this one's not going down anymore, so going down, and then we got the get the not, connect that. And then on this one, we're going to say it's down idle again, because it is down idle, so we're not doing the not on this one. So now it's working, it's functioning. Now when we click on this, it's actually working now. That's why it wasn't working before. Okay, so save it. This is your animation blueprint. So how I would go about doing this. I might have like a gate on it, just so that it's not always running all the time. So create a custom event and another custom event, copy and pasting, name it animation active, animation inactive. You probably want to make it a more specific name, obviously, for a game, but I'm just doing generic right now. Let's go ahead and bring these out over here because I'm going to need them later. Probably. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right because I know that it's hard to access animation scripts. I'm not exactly sure how you do it. So how I do it is I make like a variable public and then I call it from, I think, this script. And then if that variable is public, then, or if that, anyway, we'll get to it. So, for now I do want this to be active, so I'll do a sequence so that it activates this only once, so we're not constantly running it, and then it goes through the gate. So it's just automatically opening that gate, and then I can manipulate this later as I need it. So to kind of demonstrate how this will work, let's do it on a switch. So let's do some custom events. Stay down. Go up. Stay up. And go down. Alright, so how it's going to do that is it actually needs to interact with these guys. So just get all of these, actually set them. So drag them all over here and go to set. These are all our bowls. So for it to stay down, I need all of the rest of them to be false and only stay down to be true. For going up, I need all of them to be false except for going up. For stay up, I need all of them to be false except for up idle. And then for go down, I need all of them to be false except for go down. I like to put the false first and then connect them. Now over here, we're going to create a switch. So switch on ent. And we're going to add 4 pins. So the way that game design works is it's never starts on 1, it always starts on 0. So technically 3 is 4. We're going to go ahead and copy, paste it in here so you can pull it up. Rename it, copy the name, click on the window, right click, paste it in there, and then click on it. It's just an easy way. Just renaming it just to copy the name. Okay. So now I need to hook this up. So it needs to be in the right order. So it's going to be stay down, then go up, then stay up, then go down. So it is in the right order. So go ahead and hook these up. Default, I made stay down because that's the original. Hook that up to the gate. And now we need to make an ent. Let's call, change it to an integer and then call it cube moving switch ent. We're going to make that public. I think, I mean, we might have to access actually an ent from another blueprint, but for now, we're going to do it from here. I'll show you. Go ahead and connect that. So now whenever this ent is turns to these numbers, this will happen. So how I would do that, and just to demonstrate, is let's copy the sequence so that I can do another action over here. So I'm going to do I'm going to set it to 0, and then I'm going to do a delay for a second. And then I'm going to set the ent to 1. And then I'm going to delay it another second. Then set the ent to 2. Sorry, did that wrong. 1 second. And then set the ent to 2. Delay it again and then set it to 3. Delay it again and then set it to 4. And then back to 0. So now let's see how that plays out. Sometimes when my stuff crashes, it doesn't save the animations. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save it. I'm going to close out of Unreal. That way it makes me save it. I'm going to save everything, and then I'm going to reopen Unreal. Reopen my projects. So that it doesn't delete my animations every time it crashes, but it's actually saved in there. I'm going to open up my project. There's probably a better way of doing this, but this is how I do it. Now, open up your scene, and then go to where you saved your animations, and they should still be there. Now, sorry. Now, bring your character into the scene. By dragging them into the scene like this. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Alright, so when I push play, you can see that the animation works. It's getting stuck in a spot though. I gotta see why. It's getting stuck in the up idle state. I think I know why. Because it's continuing to run this. It's just running it all the way through. So it's going nuts, so. How are we going to go about doing this? We'll do once. Just to control it so it's not constantly running it. I don't have it timed right, that's why it's kind of being all weird. I was just showing you how this would work. Let me see what it looks like when it's playing. I'm not giving it enough time delay, I think. Because we did 60, it's probably 2 seconds, so let's just see what happens. Yeah. So yeah. To activate an animation from like a blueprint, we could do create an actor, and we'll call it animation controller, BP. Sorry guys. And then we'll add in nothing. Just go to your blueprint, and then we're gonna create an integer, and we're gonna call it animation control int. Change that to an integer and then make it public. Then come over here and we're gonna after do once, we're gonna get cast to animation controller BP. And sorry, we're gonna go to get actor of class actually, and then we're gonna go to animation spelled it. Animation where are you? There it is. So then we're gonna right click on this and then go to promote variable. You could leave it like this, but I prefer to change it to actor just because it's just the old way of doing things and I don't quite understand exactly the new way of doing it yet. I'm sure it's very simple, but I just do it the old way. Animation, excuse me, blueprint, our animation controller, actor, and then drag that over, well, it's already here. And then we're gonna go to cast to animation controller and then connect that. Now when we're actually gonna pull up, so I want you to right click and pull up animation controller get ent. Copy this so you can pull it back up, and then also set ent. Pull those up. So I want you to connect this now to the here, and then connect target to that's not it. Animation controller cast to animation. Everything was spelled. Sorry about that, guys. I type way too fast. I'll fix that. Okay, so sorry. I'm losing track of what I'm doing. Oh, that's why, because I misspelled right here. Ugh, so dumb. Okay, cast the animation controller. There we go. Come over here, let's fix this. There. That's why it was giving me such a headache. Okay, so now we can connect it. Alright, so now it's going to be reading it from there, and so now we're not using these switches. Now we're actually going to control this from this blueprint. So we're going to set it on here. And maybe we want to do that by entering a box. So let's add in a box collision. Sorry, I keep coughing. Okay, so we added a box collision. We want to be able to see the box collision because we want to be able to see it when we walk in it. So I took hidden in game off. Now, when we enter this box, when we begin overlap, and also end overlap, we need to cast to our player. Pretty sure that's him. And when it enters the box, it's going to set our animation to 1, and then delay for 2 seconds, and then it's going to set our animation to 2 so that it's like idle. And then we'll do the same over here. When you exit out the box, it's going to set it to 3 because it's going to actually, this is 0. No, it's not. No, it's not. I got it right. Okay, so that's 3, and then you're going to turn this one to 0. That one's the idle down. Okay, so now let's test it. We're going to bring in our box controller, our animation controller blueprint into the scene. Let's make it a little bigger so it'll be easier to run into. Alright, so whenever I run into it, this animation should activate. And then when I leave it, it should not. Well, it did it automatically. That's not very good. But let's just see what happens. Okay. I might have it on opposite ends. It's working. It's just not working exactly how I wanted it to. Okay. And probably because it's directly on here. So what I'll do is I'll create a custom event. Going up. And then custom event going down. Go ahead and bring those over here. And then it's gonna actually be pretty involved, which I want to get into in a later time, how I would go about controlling this. But yeah, it works. It's working. Now, if you go here, you can see that we already have an animation. And it looks like it would allow us to add it in. So let's try that. Let's see if we can add it into our state machine that we already created. So go to your blueprint animation, and we're just gonna go all the way back to the beginning, and I'm only just gonna put in this script that we baked and brought in from Maya, just to test to see if it works. And it does, on the same rig.